Welcome to Real Talk with Sean, everybody. This evening, I'm going to be speaking, well, I am speaking with Shenell, who has cervical cancer. I want to thank you so much for joining me, Shenell. It's been a long time coming, but I got you.
It has, but thank you for having me. Thank you for being so persistent with getting me on the show.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm just glad that you're here to join me, and you're feeling good. You're in good spirits, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. I've been in good spirits the entire journey. So I've had some ups and downs, but for the majority, I've been in good spirits.
I love it. I think that's really good because I mean, going through physical pain like that, and I mean, I say physical because I know chemotherapy is not an easy thing. And so for you to stay in a positive mental place, that's really big and deep because it can make people go off the deep end. You know, when you're not trying to be that way, it's just the medicine can literally make you just annoyed with the world.
The medicine itself is very harsh.
It really is. So I commend you for staying in positive spirits, you know, and knowing that you're going to beat this thing.
Yes, I am.
Dang on right. Now, how old were you when you even found out that you had cervical cancer?
So I actually, quite ironic, I just had a birthday on the 11th.
Happy belated.
Thank you. Okay. And I found out that I had cervical cancer when I was 31. So this was just last year. And I found out right 2 days after I found out that I was 8 weeks pregnant. So yes, so right after finding out that I was pregnant, 2 days later, I got the news from my doctor that I had cervical cancer, that they saw a tumor. And it was kind of like a whirlwind because first of all, I didn't plan on having a baby. And this is right after I've gotten married.
Okay.
So me and my husband were just like, okay, we got married. Now we find out that we're pregnant. And you have cancer. Like, it was so much in one go take. And finding out that you have cancer in the parking lot of a Myers is not the ideal place for me because I was just sitting there when I saw my doctor calling me, I knew that it wasn't good news. Because, you know, anytime you go in for a physician's appointment, you want the nurse to call you. You don't want the doctor to call you. You want the nurse to call you. In case anybody didn't know, you want the nurse to call you. So when I saw the doctor's name on my phone call list, I called her back and she just told me, Shenell, are you sitting down? Once she said that, I was like, okay, it's not good news.
Of course. I mean,
and she told me,
are you sitting down? That's not good news.
Exactly. And I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm sitting down. I'm just about to go in the grocery store. She was like, okay, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we did see some irregular cells on your pap. And we did find signs of a tumor. So we need you to come in as soon as tomorrow so that we can start testing and make sure that we get you in with an oncologist and talk to some professionals about pregnancy and cancer and stuff like that. So they got the ball rolling immediately. Like, she wasted no time. She had everything lined up thereafter.
That's good. So they jumped right on it. Now you found out you were pregnant, and I didn't mention that to you all yet because I actually, y'all, I thought that it was the other way around. I thought that you found out, you know, you had the cancer, and then in the midst of that, you found out you were pregnant. So it was the opposite.
No. Yeah, it was the complete opposite because had it been the other way around, they would have had to terminate the pregnancy.
Okay.
So, yeah, so with me finding out, they gave me the choice, which was very hard. They told us that we would have to choose that either we would keep our baby or terminate the pregnancy. And for me, that was like the toughest part of it because I realized like I really have a life in my hand. Like, I could choose to bring forth life or to take away. So to me, that was just, it was too heavy of a decision. Like, I felt like I was playing God's hand. So it was just like, for me, I was like, well, I'm keeping it because
Right.
I was like, the outcome to me was just like I either come out with a baby or I come out of the situation without a baby. And even with the choice of keeping the baby, there was no certainty that the baby would make it. So, especially with delivery and everything like that, there was no certainty at all with any of the doctors. They let me know every time at every appointment, they let me know there is risk of the baby not making it. There is risk. Like, they let me know, like, don't get too attached because the baby could possibly not make it.
Oh my God. I can imagine being told that when you're actually carrying a life, not just a life that you and your husband made, it's yours. And
Exactly.
told don't get attached because there's no it's an if it may stick now. And so
Exactly.
it's not the normal, because I mean that can happen with any woman. It may abort it, it may stay or miscarry,
Yeah.
whatever. But they didn't mean it that way. They meant because of the cancer, right? When you're
Exactly.
saying that don't get attached, it's because of is it because of the chemo, because of the cancer? What was the reason they were telling you to not get attached?
So the reason they were telling me not to get attached was due to the chemotherapy. Because during, because I'm from Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and in our area, literally only 3% of women in my area have ever had cancer and been pregnant. So with only 3%, I'm an experiment now. So with that, I had a whole board of directors of the best doctors because they wanted this to be a successful story. Like, okay, if we're going to do this, she has to have the best surgeons, she has the best anesthesiologist, she has to have the best doctors that we have on the board. And they met about my case every single day. Even when I didn't have an appointment, they would call me and give me an update on what all of the doctors, anesthesiologists were thinking of what to do with my case and everything. So that's how rare the situation was. So with the chemotherapy, I had the harshest chemotherapy during my pregnancy, and the highest dosage of chemotherapy during the pregnancy, which was not harmful to the baby, surprisingly, because there was a study that they received from, I believe it was North Carolina, before I actually started my chemotherapy, that there was a change in the chemotherapy options for pregnancy, and that took down the risk for baby, and he was only at risk of losing his hearing. And I was at risk for losing my hearing, and Lord, I can't hear nothing.
I already feel like I'm deaf.
Yeah.
Using it more.
I said, listen now, y'all can't be taking too much from me.
Exactly.
So, but then
So
I was like, I
why
said, I'm gonna
that?
wait my eyes.
Why they say that? Like, what? I know that you may not be able to answer this, but if you even
Uh-huh.
question them, why? And it's funny, in particular, the hearing from both of you all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Why
the
that? Did
hearing.
they tell you why? What was the explanation behind that?
So they really didn't have an explanation because it would require more intensive research.
Okay.
So she was just like,
Oh,
well, the research that they have says this, but she hadn't had a chance to really, she just wanted to immediately switch my chemotherapy to that, because before, the chances with baby being okay, the percentages were kind of like all over the place. So it was like we could possibly have some complications, but I'm not sure what those complications are. Whereas with the new chemotherapy that they had, she knew exactly what it would be.
right. Okay.
So I was happy with that change. But when I say my anxiety, because I already had, I would have said prior to all of this, I had an issue with having control over things.
Okay.
And when you're going through cancer and
Yeah.
chemotherapy, you
Yep.
have no control.
So your
You are
anxiety
at
is
the,
off the roof.
man, you are at the mercy of them doctors and nurses. And when I say it sat me on my butt and truly humbled me,
Yep.
I just going in for because I have a scar right here. I have a port.
You got the port.
Just going in to have my port put in, I can't express to you the amount of anxiety that I had. I was praying all morning. I was just like, I can't do it because I already have an anxiety of surgery due to my previous pregnancy. I had an emergency C-section that was just like, I felt like I was a cow being butchered. Like
Yeah.
so I couldn't. I told them, I said I can't do surgery, and they were like, "Oh yes, you can. If you want to get this cancer taken care of, you gonna get this port."
Right. Yeah, yeah. Now tell everybody, for those who don't know, what the port is or what a port is and why they suggested that you put the port in.
So a port is a main access to the main artery of your heart. So when they did go in, they went into my vena cava and they went through the neck and to put a port in, which is directly inserted into the vein. So that whatever chemotherapy or radiation treatments you could possibly be receiving can go directly into the system. Because if you're constantly probing the veins, they can collapse. Right. And they can also start to rupture due to the heaviness of the chemotherapy or radiations that you're receiving. Right. So it was very important that they not do that with me, because I also have valves in my veins sometimes that block them from being able to poke. If you have been poked and probed so much from needles or IVs or anything like that, then your veins start to develop a thicker tissue around those pokes, and then it starts to block. Right. So that's what the port is for direct access through the veins, to be able to get into the system quicker.
So all of your blood work, everything can be pulled right from that port, like you said, as opposed to poking and having to find new places to poke you to get blood or to give you the chemo.
Yep. And sometimes they may vouch to do another way of access, which is to put a line through your vein. It's called the PICC line.
That's
the PICC line, listen.
No, but remember, I had it in 91. So I it was just a lump that sat out of my arm. Yeah.
You had it in 91, so it was worse than what it is today, because they didn't have the same technology.
No.
And when they told me, we would have a X-ray showing us how it's going, I said, listen, I don't even want to see that. Put me to sleep and give me the port.
Just put it in.
Yeah. Exactly. Put me to sleep and give me the port.
Exactly. Go ahead. So what about your support? Like, was your family there? I know your husband, and guess what, man? I don't know your name, man, but I commend you, because you got to be a good man. You got to be a good man. I'd like to think you are. You stuck with her and made sure that she was being taken care of the proper way that her man should. Am I right?
Yes, he's been amazing through the entire thing. He was a little worried, a little shaken up,
as he should have been. That's
he didn't show it. Yeah, he didn't show it at all. But when I say he was braver than me in most cases, he had to talk me through a lot of stuff.
But that's good. You needed that, because I mean, if your significant other is being just as frustrated as you are, or just as scared, showing it as you are, the two won't go together. You got to be strong for them. They're the ones going through the physical aspect of it. Both of y'all are going through it mentally, but he's the one going through it physically. And so you have to be strong for your partner when they're the ones going through it. So I commend him.
Exactly.
I really do commend him. So I'm glad that you had a support system. Did you have surgery? Did they remove it, or was it just chemo and radiation?
Just chemo and radiation. Okay. So I had, for the chemotherapy, I went through 3 sessions of chemo during the pregnancy. And then I had to get a PET scan and an MRI, and then the MRI ended up showing that the tumor had grew. So they had to end up taking the baby earlier. So I did deliver my little boy at 28 weeks, because they needed to get me in for treatment right away. Okay. So when the tumor grew, they told me, okay, well, now you have to come in for radiation. It's going to be external and internal. That was I had external radiation every single day. Internal radiation was scheduled between 2 weeks and 1 week. So with internal radiation, they put you to sleep. So I was put to sleep several times within the course of, I want to say, 7 weeks. Mm-hmm. So that was about 6 or 7 treatments of internal radiation, and it was exhausting because being put to sleep is that's serious business when they putting you to sleep. You don't want to, I had to go in to have a physical done because when you're being put to sleep so many times, they want to make sure that you have a healthy heart so that they know what they're getting themselves into, because if you stop breathing or anything like that, it is like life or death at that point. Exactly. So I had to go through a physical to make sure my enzymes were good, that I had blood work every day to make sure that my iron levels were good, my blood levels were good, because I did have a blood transfusion. So it was a lot.
What was the blood transfusion for?
The blood transfusion was due to me having the C-section. Okay. The C-section, okay. I lost so much blood. And then on top of that, I had my tubes, they were removed. They had to remove the tubes in order to ensure that the cancer didn't spread to the ovaries.
Oh, I got it, because it was on your cervix. Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, wow. Now that's so, but you still can have a child. You just won't be able to have it naturally.
No.
No, you can't have a child, or you can't have it naturally.
I can't have a child, and I would. And also, since the way that they cut me, my previous C-section was horizontal. Uh-huh. And then this C-section was up and down, so that they had more room to be able to move around and pull the baby out. And also I have fibroids. So if a woman has fibroids, you have to consider that. That's heavy on the bleeding. So the fibroids were causing bleeding, them just having to cut the tubes causing bleeding. It was a lot. And I lost so much blood. I was woozy for like about 2 days before I was just like, please give me the transfusion before I fall on my face.
Oh, you asked them for the transfusion?
Mm-hmm, because they weren't going to do it at first. But once I started feeling like I was like going to fall on my face, I was just like, no, I need the blood.
Wow, that is crazy. And so when they went in to get the baby out, they cut you. They cut you. That's vertical, right?
Yeah, vertically. They cut you vertically. Like, wait, what are we doing here?
Yeah, cut you vertically so that they can have more space to move around. What else did they remove while they were in there besides the fallopian tubes?
They just removed the tubes, and then they removed the tubes, and they relied on the radiation to get rid of everything else. So the radiation worked as like, I want to say like the fryer. So it fried my ovaries. And now, as we speak, I'm going through menopause at 32 years old.
Oh, I'm going through that now. So trust me, I'm with you, sweetheart. And no joke. But still, you're young. It pushed you right into early menopause.
Yes.
And now, I've been told, because I had cancer, that when you have chemo or cancer, I don't know if it's the same with you, that I could not be treated for my menopause because of my cancer. So the hormone therapy, I didn't get it.
Yep. So the hormone therapy, they are eager to give me hormone therapy. They're eager because of how young I am. Because if I don't get the hormone therapy, then I'm at risk for heart disease. I'm at risk for brittle bones, and I'm at risk for other things like she said heart disease and something else. I forget what she said, but she was just like, we have to figure something out because you're too young to go through all those extra things.
Now that's amazing. So simply because of the early on, because of it pushing you into early menopause, you're at the risk of going through brittle bones, like you said, what you say, heart disease?
Yep, heart
Because
disease.
of early menopause. That's something for me to research.
Yep.
I had no clue. Wow. That those things
Yep.
even correlate to one another.
Yeah, because estrogen is very huge for women. Estrogen helps to keep your bones healthy. Estrogen helps for us to have a healthy heart because the estrogen actually helps to keep the heart pumping, to get the blood through. It also helps our kidneys and everything like
I
that.
didn't know
So,
that. Yeah.
so once you remove that from a woman, it's kind of like removing like a serious part.
And that's nothing but a chemical.
Exactly.
Which is amazing that that says a whole lot about the woman's body when it's depleted of the things that it can do to us, especially if it happens too soon, as in your case.
Exactly. If it happens too soon, you're at higher risk.
Wow. I just know I'm really learning something here because I swear I had no idea, first and foremost, that estrogen contributed to so many other things in our body. You know, I just thought that, you know, it of course makes us a woman. It controls our mood swings and things of that nature, but I never knew about the heart. So that it, you know, but again, everything has a purpose and they're all connected to make up one human. So
exactly.
It's just amazing. So now explain to everybody the difference between inside and outside radiation because I have no idea what that means.
Okay, so external radiation
External and internal. I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off. That's it.
No, that's okay. External radiation is when they're working from the outside of the body, working in. So they would call you in for an appointment. At that appointment, you get an MRI. So the MRI, literally, they take a mold of your body and you have to sit in the same position each time for external radiation so that they can target the correct spot. So they look at that spot when the bladder is full, and they also look at it when the bladder is empty so that they can know, like, okay, if she does have a full bladder, when we do radiation, at least we're still hitting the exact same spot. So the radiation literally goes in and out of you, in and out of you, in and out of you, but you can't feel it, you can't see it. But me personally, when I went in, I could feel it was kind of like to me like a heat wave. Like I could feel it, a heavy pressure come down on me, but you can't feel like it doesn't hurt or anything like that. But when you do have external radiation, you're at more risk of having depleted bowels, and you have to change your complete diet. Like you can't have a high fiber diet. The diet changes, everything you eat changes because everything goes straight through you after having external radiation. So the internal radiation, for internal radiation, they actually take a probe and they put the probe on the actual tumor. So they put the probe on the tumor and they radiate that specific area. So all radiation is going directly to the tumor.
Okay.
Yep, it's going directly to the tumor. And this is so that they can cut down on the time that you have to have on chemotherapy. So if we can cut down on chemotherapy, which is extremely harsh, then we can narrow down our time with radiation because the internal radiation is actually helping to shrink the tumor a bit faster. So, and then they put me to sleep because they were going into my cervix. So no one wants anybody going into their cervix while they're awake.
No, I would not.
No. Yes. So I was like, have at it, do what you gotta do.
Exactly. Right. Just put me to sleep. I damn sure would have.
Exactly.
So what now? So chemotherapy is harsher than radiation.
So chemotherapy is harsher than radiation in some aspects because when you think about it, the chemotherapy is sitting inside of the body.
Right.
Whereas radiation is passing through, is hitting you, and the
Okay.
radiation does also sit on the body and go into the body, but the chemotherapy is actually a heavier cocktail, I want to say, to actually sit in the bloodstream. Because they tell you too, when you have chemotherapy, you can't wash your clothes with everybody else in the house. Sometimes you have to sleep in separate rooms because the chemotherapy can be so strong or whatever. Sexual contact, you can't have any sexual contact unless it's protected. And then just the basic things, you have to wipe everything down. You can't be in contact with
is completely compromised.
Exactly. You can't be in contact with any little kids for a certain amount of time. And like, I was like, explain to me how I'm supposed to do that when I have 2 other kids.
So this was your third one?
This was my third. And I'm just like, well, can you explain that to my 6-year-old and my 4-year-old?
How did you deal with that?
I kind of didn't.
Okay.
I kind of went against doctor's order.
Of course, I would have.
Because like it was just.
How can't you?
How do you? Exactly. Because my kids, they're used to me playing with them. They're used to me doing everything for them. And when I say I'm highly active in their lives with playing with them and keeping them entertained.
As it should be.
Right. I was just like, I'm sorry, but that's just one thing I'm just not going to be able to do.
Oh,
so I did as much as I could until the chemotherapy actually hit me and I just had no energy to do.
Yeah.
But they understood.
You pushed through as much as you could. Basically, you sacrificed yourself to make sure that they got as much of you that they could.
Right? Exactly.
That's what a mother.
But I also had that talk with them, like not sugarcoating, saying, oh, mommy's sick, but telling them mommy has cancer. This is what cancer is. This is what cancer does. This is what stage I have, and this is what I have to go through. So they know what cancer is. They know why my hair fell out. They know all of that stuff.
We just need to
exactly.
We just got
and we shouldn't treat them that way. No, we shouldn't treat them as though they're dumb, right?
The days of not saying stuff and acting like kids aren't human. They're just younger humans. They're still us. They just have less experience. But it's up to us to, like you said, explain it to them, and not explain it in a baby way. Explain it to them the way it really is.
Exactly.
So I commend you for doing that, because
so that your children have understanding of the medical field and how it works. Because that's my big thing. I've worked in the medical field for 15 years. Okay. So I'm just like, my children have to know how to speak for themselves in a medical setting, how to say yes and no, how to explain how they're feeling. Because even when I take them to the doctors, I'm saying, if you feel this certain way, you tell them, and I'm going to accept how you feel because I can't tell you how you feel.
I'm so glad that you're doing that, because a lot of my talks, I'm glad when it goes to this, when it comes to the children, because we really do need to make sure that they have a voice and they're using that voice and speaking up, and we're not telling our kids how they feel. We cannot, because a lot of parents do that. When the child is speaking, we try to tell them how they're feeling. And that's not for us to do. They're telling us how they feel, and they need to be respected for how they feel. We can never change somebody's emotions or how they feel. We have to respect it and then address it and talk about it.
Exactly.
I'm glad that you're that kind of mother, because we need more of that. And then, and only then, will the next generation be able to lead us in the right direction.
Exactly. That's the only way.
That's the only way. Now, when you first found out that you had cancer, when you heard that, did you think a death sentence? Like, what was your initial reaction? And I know it was sad. I know it was like, oh shit. But from your mouth, how did it make you feel?
Surprisingly, because someone else did ask me this, I didn't have a reaction. I had no reaction. I just said, okay, when's my next appointment? I text my husband right away. I let him know what the doctor said and everything, but I didn't cry. I didn't cry. I didn't frown. I didn't do any of that. I just went with the punches. I said, okay, now what? What we doing next? And she was surprised. She was like, okay. I was like, what's next? And she was just like, okay.
I know, because that's an odd reaction. It's like, so you basically put on your armor. You were like, okay, what we got to do? Let's go in this fight because I'm going to win.
Exactly. I had no time for tears. When I tell you I had no time for tears, I had no time for games. I told her, I said, okay, what's next? When do you need to see me? I said, because now my schedule is yours. Whenever you need to see me, I'll be there to make sure that we can get everything on the ball. Like the thing is, between her, my oncologist, and my pregnancy doctor, they all told me that they just commended me for how optimistic I was, how happy I was, how I allowed them to do their job, how I wasn't, telling them, no, I'm not doing this, or refusing to come to treatment. They were like, we just want to let you know how inspired we are just from treating you, because we've never, one, had to deal with this before. But in not having to deal with this before, we also have a patient who is so extremely patient with us. So I was just proud of myself to be able to give that type of environment to medical professionals, because usually we expect the medical professionals to teach us something, but it was me teaching them, be more optimistic with our lives.
And I commend you. Yeah, and I commend you as well, for even, like they said, for going in with a positive attitude and allowing them, because they're human. They're doctors, yes, and they went to school, but they have not seen every and anything. New things are happening in this world. So we do have to, we know that they're doctors and we are in their care. But again, we have to understand that they're humans. And we know when they're doing with everything they can do for us. And we know when a doctor is slipping. So I commend you, like they said, for being that type of patient, because it does matter. I mean, their job is not easy either. So
exactly. And that was the thing, just seeing how cohesive they were and how well they worked together, even in the operating room. I thanked them for their service. I told my anesthesiologist, I said, I just want to thank you for being the lead anesthesiologist. I said, I just want to thank you for being such a good lead and listening to me.
And they probably
and the nurses. Exactly. And that's what they said. They was like, she's so polite.
Yeah, because they get forgot about. Nobody thanks them because they're like, people are like, shit, I'm here. You're supposed to do this. But no, they need those extra thank yous to know that, you're doing a good job. We all need that. From a doctor.
Just like we need it, they need it.
We all need to be told, thank you.
I just wanted to make sure that they knew that how much I appreciated them, because what they're doing, your life is literally in their hands, and that's scary.
It is.
So even to the students, because one thing I can tell you that is very scary, I had a student anesthesiologist with us. So the main anesthesiologists were taking care of me, but I did have a student who was learning in the process, and I was just like, okay, girl.
Yeah, because that is your entire life.
I was like, listen, you better pass. Whatever test this is, you better pass.
You ain't lying about that. How many doses of chemotherapy did you take, and radiation did you take? What was the outcome of how much you had to do?
So the outcome was the 3 during pregnancy, and then after that, I had 6 after. So 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 doses of chemo. And those were different types of chemo. And then radiation, I had radiation for, what was that, like a month and a half?
Every day?
And that was every single day.
So did you stay in the hospital or you came home?
I came home and had to be at that hospital every single day whenever they had me scheduled.
Oh my God, man, that's a lot. And the
Yeah,
chemo,
that's why I say,
no, what
yeah,
you,
cancer is a lifestyle that you have to commit to if you're willing to commit to it for you to be able to live.
yeah,
If it's a serious lifestyle because your entire life is at the hands of those doctors and you're at the mercy of those appointments and you have to go to the appointments if you want to live.
yep. And everybody, y'all need to really listen to that. Anybody out there that does have cancer and is battling this disease, you have to follow the doctor's instructions. And I'm not saying, everything is a case by case basis because I've actually I have a conversation coming up with somebody who has the opposite experience where she was actually told that hers was gone and then coming
Oh
back up.
no.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a look out for that to be coming up shortly. Yep. So hers is,
Wow, I'll definitely be tuning into that one.
yeah, she's going through it right now. So, because, and even with me, I often thought about that. Like, what if I really didn't have it? Or what if I really, it's just crazy the things that cross your mind. But
Mhm.
when you would like, how are you finished with your rounds now? Are you done and you're in remission?
I am done, but they haven't completely said that I'm in remission now because they want to do a PET scan and they want to do an MRI just to check the cervix to make sure that they are in the clear to tell me that I am completely in remission. But I am done with radiation and with chemotherapy for right now.
Whoop, whoop, I know you happy with that. You're in remission. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna
Yep.
call that. You
Mhm.
eat this thing and you're in remission.
Yeah, I've already called it too. So
All right. And you're not coming back. Keep your ass on over there somewhere else. You're not coming back in her life no more.
exactly.
So
Yep.
what is the baby's name? And it's a boy. I heard you say he.
Yeah, it's a boy. His name is Jackson.
I love the name. I love that. How old is
Mhm.
Jackson?
He's 3 months. He'll be 4 months on the 20th. He was born 4/20 of 22.
Oh my God. So he needs to know. Little dude, Jackson, you were meant to be here, Jackson, because you
He
made it.
was.
You made
He
it.
made it. And when I say he was small, he was 2 pounds, 1.4 ounces. He was, I want to say, as big as probably like a soda bottle. He was so tiny.
And now he is catching up. How's it going now?
He 8 pounds.
He getting
He is 8 pounds and he has a personality. He is very stubborn.
Uh-oh.
And I think he's gonna be a lot. He looks identical to his older brother Jace.
Uh-huh.
So I think he's gonna be exactly like his older brother. If I'm not mistaken, I feel like he is.
You got a repeat coming in. So you
I
already
have a repeat.
so you already know what you're in for if things go that way.
Yes, I'm just hoping that he is as zen as his older brother
Oh,
because his
that's what's
older brother is extremely easygoing.
that's good.
Mhm.
Oh, you're lucky. You got an easy
The
going
second
kid.
born is the second born that you know.
He's all over the place.
Whew, all over, all over the place.
What can you just lucked up with the first one.
Mhm.
So you just
Exactly.
because the middle one, that's normal.
And that's what everyone keeps telling me. Like you got a piece of the good pie and a piece
Yep,
of the hectic
yep,
pie.
yep.
So
And now
now I might have a little bit of a mix.
yep, I was gonna say Jackson may be a mix of both of them. So it remains to be seen what Jackson's gonna be like.
Mhm. Yeah, but
So
he's
what
doing amazing.
that's what's up. I'm glad that he's doing good and he's here. He's definitely meant to be here because I mean, that shocked me when you told me, oh, because first it was just cervical cancer, and then you were like, oh, and I was pregnant. And I'm like, what? When I read my text, I'm like, oh, pregnant. Like,
Yeah.
because I mean, that's because I would have immediately thought that you probably would have aborted the baby. But
See, and that's what they were expecting.
so I'm glad you kept him. And not only
Mm.
did you keep him, he's okay.
He is okay. He's absolutely healthy. He's okay. And we're going to see what life brings us from here on out.
It's going to bring you plenty of happiness, peace, and love. That's what it's going to bring you. So I got one last question before I let you go.
Okay.
Will you promise me to always spread peace and love in this world?
Oh, of course. I'm the queen of peace and love.
I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it because my thing is, if enough of us do that, then the world can't be nothing but good. I mean, it's always going to be some bad out here, but if most of us spread peace and love, we win.
Exactly.
That's all I care
We
about.
win.
That's all
yep.
I care about is winning. But I want to thank you. I do thank you. And I know you got this because you're already in a good place mentally. And I think that to me, the physical is one thing, it hurts, the pain hurts. We can, battle with that. But the mind is a big thing. And if your mind is in the right place, I believe that you can overcome just about anything.
You really can. And I said that throughout my entire treatment. If my mental wasn't as strong as it is, I don't think I would have made it through even the first half of treatment.
I do believe that. I do believe that that is the key to so much is our mind because we can deal with the pain. Our body is made to deal with something. We don't like it, but we're made to deal with these things. It's our mind that controls so much. And so I commend you for keeping yours and knowing.
Thank you.